Hey Frugals, it's Jade here. Welcome back. And if you're new here, welcome to the channel. I'm a registered dietitian in South Africa and I love creating healthy recipes that don't break the budget. So if you're looking for realistic recipes using affordable ingredients, you're definitely in the right spot. With food prices continuing to rise, I wanted to share 5 healthy family meal ideas that cost around 60 Rand to make. They're simple, budget-friendly, and suitable for busy weeknights using ingredients found at most South African grocery stores. So let's get cooking. Our first recipe is beef, cabbage, and rice, and this recipe really surprised me. I'll have the original link down below. If you note, I used 250 grams of lean beef mince instead of 500 grams, which the recipe called for. And in hindsight, you could probably bulk this up with lentils, which is something I actually do in a later recipe, so stay tuned for that. A quick note, I always brown and cook my mince before adding any spices to ensure it's cooked through properly. And my spice mix of choice was 6 gun. You guys will know which one that is. I also used red cabbage because it was actually the same price as the green cabbage, which hardly ever happens. Red and green cabbage are both healthy non-starchy veggies, loaded with vitamins and minerals, but red cabbage definitely wins in the antioxidant category. To keep the color in cooking, I left out the water added for this step in the recipe and actually added a splash of vinegar instead. You can't taste this at the end, so don't worry about that. You can cook it on high heat and stir often as well. Cooking it in smaller batches also helps to keep the heat high and not overcrowd the pan, and this helps to ensure you cook the cabbage quickly without losing too many of the nutrients. Another tip is to cook and freeze your rice portions for the week. Rice is one of our main starches, and having it prepped this way is a massive time saver for busy weeknights. You can either have it as a side or add it into meals like I'm doing here. And freezing it flat means I can actually stack quite a few in the freezer. And I am using these freezer bags just for now, but since the system works really well, I will be investing in silicone molds to reduce plastic waste. And this recipe made so much food. I was so shocked. And I've actually made this with kale and carrots added in too, which was really delicious. Next up is a dish that I've made more times than I can count. This budget mince stew is not only more affordable, but it's actually healthier too. A couple of prep tips. I cook my lentils with bay leaf and peppercorn, then drain it, cool, and freeze into portions. It's a lot cheaper than the canned version. It's got a better texture, and this makes it really easy to add to meals directly from frozen. Another prep tip is with carrots. So I actually spent some time on Sunday doing a bit of ingredient prep, and this is where I'll prep some carrots. I'll store it in water for the week and keeps it fresh and easy to add to meals throughout the work week. I also find that doing ingredient prep is a lot more manageable and useful for weekday meals. While I am using lentils today, my favorite legume in this dish is actually baked beans in tomato sauce. It really just gives such a nice flavor. And with the rice and lentils done beforehand, this meal comes together in about 20 minutes, which is perfect for busy weeknights, and the flavor is absolutely amazing. If you have someone in the household who's not really a fan of legumes, please give this recipe a try. You can barely taste the lentils, and like I said with baked beans, it's actually tastes even better. And I know you can't see it well, but the lentils actually blend in really nicely with the mince, and it's also an onion. Next up, we have soups. Soups are really affordable to make, and they're especially yummy in colder months. I like to make extra batches to freeze, and I usually defrost it in the fridge and heat it up in a pot or in the microwave, and it's perfect for cold and busy weeknights. I followed a recipe for this, but I made a couple of tweaks. Instead of using 400 grams of lentils, I went half and half since it works out a bit cheaper, but do note that this does affect the protein content. The original recipe calls for celery, which I did not have on hand because I'm actually not a fan of it, but I did have this green pepper, which I know is hanging on for dear life, but I could still get a really good amount from this. I had fresh garlic on hand this day, but garlic powder is something I always keep in the pantry cupboard or spice cupboard. It's far more affordable and it has a longer shelf life, but the powder doesn't provide the same health benefits as raw garlic due to the processing. It does, however, add flavor, which I think is really important even when it comes to cooking budget meals. I often buy our canned items at our local grocery store instead of major retailers. I find that they have a really good variety there and far more affordable prices. A teaspoon of cumin, a teaspoon of paprika. This is a tablespoon of garam masala. So I even do the same thing with samp and beans. I add extra beans to mine with a bit of beef, mainly for flavor, and loads of carrots. I add the sauteed green afterwards since greens don't freeze well, but this also makes for a really quick and easy weeknight dinner. Here we have a chicken and butterbean curry. Now I actually love this recipe as is, which I will of course link below, but the chicken was on sale at our local spa. Every Wednesday is market day at spa, in case you weren't aware, and different things go on sale each week. This week it was the chicken, eggs, and a couple of other things as well. I get SMS notifications of these, so I always make the best use of these deals. And this day I got 2 of these chicken trays and I only used half of one, so it was about 400 grams to add to this recipe. And then I froze the rest of the portions for another meal. I'm using a bit of olive oil here, but canola oil is fine too. Healthy fats are still important to include because they help our bodies to absorb fat-soluble vitamins such as vitamin A, D, E, and K, many of which is found in the other ingredients I've added, such as tomatoes and kale, for example. I should have doubled the spice quantities because I found the flavors were a bit diluted with the added chicken as well, but I wanted some left over for lunch the next day, hence I used both cans of beans and the chicken. So I've made a note of that for next time. I always use just half a can of tomatoes and then I keep the rest for another dish. It's really good even with eggs to make some shakshuka, for instance. And then just some meal benefits. The chicken plus the butter beans provide both animal and plant protein. The butter beans, kale, and tomatoes contribute plenty of fiber. The meal is really rich in antioxidants from the addition of the spices as well. And the combination of protein, healthy fats used in cooking, and fiber really helps to slow digestion and keep you full for much longer. A quick tip here, combining legumes with vitamin C rich vegetables and a lean source of animal protein is a really effective way to max out on iron absorption while also creating a really balanced and satisfying meal. And that's for all my iron deficient ladies out there. The last recipe I'm sharing for today is tinned fish pasta, and I usually have this fish mixture at least once a week and most often on toasted bread for brunch over the weekend. I do enjoy it with pasta such as penne, as I'm having today, or spaghetti from time to time. I use sardines here, but pilchards are most affordable, and mackerel is another really good option in terms of your omega-3 fatty acids. The goal is to eat at least 2 servings of oily fish per week to consume enough essential fatty acids such as your omega-3. Remember, our bodies can't make essential fatty acids, hence it's essential to obtain it through the diet. Spices as well. And also I need a teaspoon or so of tomato paste. I'm going to add some water as well to have sauce. I'm adding about 2 of those. Okay, let that cook. If you don't really want it to break up, then don't stir it too much. Add in our spinach. I know it looks like a lot, but this is gonna all boil down into nothing. Okay, so to me, this is all good. I'm gonna actually turn the heat off now. That's it for today's video. I hope that some of these recipes and tips have inspired you on how to eat healthy without spending a fortune. And if you enjoyed today's video, I'd really appreciate if you could like this one and subscribe to the channel. It really supports my content and helps me keep creating budget-friendly meal videos like this one. Okay, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.